They ate my neighbor 2 days before I heard them at my door. It wasn't loud. No screams tearing through the night. No heroic last stand. Just the wet, steady sounds of tearing flesh, like someone pulling apart a roast with their hands, and then the slow drag of bare feet across broken glass. Closer and closer and closer. You think you'll have time when it starts. You think you'll hear the sirens, see the fires on the skyline, feel the ground shift under your feet. You won't. The end doesn't come with a bang. It doesn't come with fanfare. It slips into your house like a shadow through a broken window. The world doesn't die all at once. It dies in pieces. One broken lock at a time. One missed phone call. One empty street corner. One forgotten name. And by the time you realize something's wrong, by the time you finally listen to the little voice screaming inside your gut, the dead are already waiting for you. They don't run. They don't charge. They don't shout warnings. They just move. One step, another, and another, until the sound of their dragging feet becomes the soundtrack of your nightmares. You won't be ready. No one ever is. Movies lied to you. News anchors lied to you. Your instincts, the ones that tell you to help, to scream for someone, to hide in your bedroom and pray it passes, they lied too. Out here in the ruins, there's only one law. Stay breathing, stay moving, stay forgotten. The dead don't care who you were. It doesn't matter if you were a cop, a criminal, a soldier, a school teacher. The second you hesitate, the second you scream, the second you slip, you'll be nothing but meat, shredded and swallowed by a mouth that doesn't even know your name. This isn't about fighting. This isn't about hope. It's about cold, brutal math. One mistake, one wrong turn, one cracked twig under your boot, and you're just another broken shape in the mist. The world you knew is gone. The governments, the rescue teams, the shelters, they collapsed long before the last news anchor's voice turned into static. You're on your own. And if you want to stay that way, if you want to survive longer than the others, you're going to need to forget everything you think you know. Because this isn't survival. This is extinction. And if you can't learn to be quieter, faster, colder than the dead crawling toward you, then the only thing you're surviving is your own funeral. So listen carefully. Remember every word, because out here, there's no second chance. Tip 1. Your first mistake will be your last. The first thing that will kill you isn't a bite. It isn't a horde. It isn't some movie monster clawing at your window. It's panic. That split second when the rational part of your brain shuts off and instinct takes over. When your hands start to shake. When your chest locks up like a fist around your lungs. When your legs forget how to run and all you can do is stand there, gaping like a deer on the highway while death shuffles toward you. Panic kills faster than teeth, faster than hunger, faster than the bleeding out of a dozen wounds. It kills because it makes you stupid. It makes you fumble your keys when you should already be through the door. It makes you shout when you should be silent. It makes you waste those precious 5 seconds you had to act. The only 5 seconds you'll ever get. 5 seconds. That's all you have when you first see them. 5 seconds to decide whether you're alive or whether you're just another mouthful for the things dragging themselves across the pavement. I've seen it happen 100 times. The businessman who stood there screaming into his cell phone while a dozen hands ripped his guts out. The college kid who thought locking himself in his car would save him, right up until the glass broke and a dozen gray fingers dragged him through it. The mother who ran back for her baby carriage and tripped on the curb, gone before she even hit the ground. 5 seconds. Not to scream, not to cry, not to hope, to move, to act. Because when you see that first corpse shambling toward you, bloated, dripping, jaws clacking together like old wood, the worst thing you can do is wait. You are not going to negotiate. You are not going to plead. You are not going to figure it out. The second your brain stutters, the second your instincts betray you, they own you. The dead don't need plans. They don't need tactics. They just need you to freeze. And you will. Unless you burn this into your bones now, do not hesitate. 5 seconds. Not a heartbeat more. You move, you run, you disappear, or you die. It's that simple. It's always been that simple. And the ones who forgot that, the ones who stood there asking, is this really happening? They're still out there, in the streets, in the fields, in the ruins of cities no one will ever rebuild, dragging themselves toward the next warm thing, stupid enough to freeze when they should have fled. 5 seconds. That's all that separates you from the grave. Don't waste them. Tip 2, forget the highways. Stick to the sewers. When the panic hit, everybody did the same thing. They ran for the roads, miles of asphalt stretching out like lifelines, glowing in the headlights of abandoned cars. People jammed into vehicles, screaming at each other, bumper to bumper, desperate to get anywhere but here. Honking, crying, pushing, clawing, they thought the highways were escape routes, safe passages to some cleaner, safer place the dead hadn't touched yet. They were wrong. Highways are cattle chutes, straight, predictable paths lined with rusted steel and empty hopes. No turns, no cover, no escape when the herd piles up and the dead flood the concrete like a wave of rotting flesh. You see, zombies don't need to be smart. They don't have to set traps. We built the traps for them, laid the concrete, poured the asphalt, drew neat little lines to keep us organized, and slaughtered. All they have to do is follow the scent of fear. And when you're trapped between a semi-jackknifed across the lanes and a swarm pouring up the shoulder like ants across a corpse, you'll realize the highway doesn't lead to safety. It leads straight to your grave. It always has. That's why survivors, the real ones, the ones who last longer than a few terrified hours, they don't take the roads, they go underground. The old sewer systems, drainage tunnels, Maintenance shafts forgotten by the world, the places that stink like mold, drip brown water from ceilings older than memory, crawl with rats and roaches the size of your fist, the places so foul even the dead don't shamble into them unless they have to. You think you're above it, too good to crawl through the filth? You're not. Filth doesn't kill you, pride does. Every minute you're exposed on a road or a sidewalk, you're ringing a dinner bell with your heartbeat. Every step underground, through the dark and the stink and the choking crawl spaces, is another heartbeat you get to keep, another breath you get to take, another day you get to survive. Because down there, the world is smaller, quieter, easier to hide. And in this new world, hiding isn't cowardice. It's the only reason you're still breathing. Find the manholes, find the storm drains, find the rusted access tunnels where the rats have been smarter than the people. Go underground, stay forgotten. Above ground is where the fools go to die. You're not a fool. At least, not yet. Tip 3. You're not going to save anyone. When the screaming starts, you're going to feel it. That stupid, stubborn thing beating in your chest. That urge to run toward the cries. That desperate, ugly instinct whispering, maybe you can help. Ignore it. Crush it. Bury it deep. Cut it out of you if you have to. Because that instinct will get you killed faster than any bite. You can't save them. Not the sobbing woman trapped under the wreckage. Not the kid pounding on the locked door. Not the man begging for you to stop and pull him up before the horde tears him apart. You can't. You're not a hero. There are no heroes anymore. Just the living and the dead, and the ones too stupid to know which side they belong to. And if you think you're strong enough to carry them, if you think you're fast enough to drag them, shield them, fight for them, you're wrong. Dead weight doesn't care how much you love it. Dead weight drags you down just the same. Every second you waste trying to save someone who's already as good as gone is a second the dead close in, a second they smell your blood pounding through your veins, a second they move one shambling step closer to you. It doesn't matter if it's your best friend, your brother, your kid. If they can't move, if they can't fight, if they can't survive on their own, then they're dead already. You have to leave them. You have to look them in the eye, see the terror, hear the pleading, and walk away. Because if you don't, you won't just die. You'll make more of them. Another set of clawing hands, another open mouth leaking rot into the air, another corpse stumbling through the ruins with your blood dripping from its teeth. Compassion is extinction. It sounds cruel. It feels cruel. It is cruel. But cruelty is survival now. Mercy is for the grave. You want to survive this? You want to see another sunrise through the cracks in a boarded-up window? Then burn the part of you that thinks you can save everyone. Save yourself or save no one. Because when the screaming gets louder, when the crying turns into begging, you won't have time to choose. You'll already be dead. Tip 4. Noise is a death sentence. The dead aren't blind, they aren't deaf, they aren't smart, but they know noise. They know the clatter of a dropped can, the slam of a door you forgot to catch, the desperate shout of your own name echoing off empty brick walls. They know it because it's different. The world after the fall is quiet, not silent, not really. There's the constant low moan of the dead somewhere far off. The wind through broken windows, the distant crumble of something giving way under its own weight. But human noise, the sharp, sudden sound of life, that's thunder to them. It cuts through the emptiness like a flare in the night sky. It draws them like blood draws sharks, one by one at first, then dozens, then hundreds, until it isn't a few slow steps dragging toward you. It's a tide, an unstoppable, crushing wall of teeth and hands and death, rolling forward, slow but endless, and you're standing there at the center, wondering when the mistake started. It started the moment you forgot that every sound you make is an invitation to die. Your footsteps too loud, your breathing too heavy, your jacket rustles when you move, your gear clinks when you walk. Every creak, every snap, every scrape. They can find you with it. They don't have to run. They don't have to think. They just have to hear. You will not outrun the noise you make. You will not outfight the numbers you call down on your head. You can only avoid making it in the first place. Before you step outside, duct tape every piece of gear. Tie down loose straps. Wear cloth, not plastic. Cushion anything metal against your body so it doesn't scrape when you move. And for God's sake, shut your mouth. No talking, no yelling, no crying. If you can't be silent, you won't be alive long enough to regret it. Out here, every sound is a bullet you fire into the sky, and you're the target it's pointing at. You want to survive? Then become the quiet, become the nothing, the shadow that moves without a sound. Because the moment you break the silence, the moment you let the old world instincts take over and shout, or slam, or drop something, you might as well light yourself on fire. They'll hear you, they'll find you, and they won't stop until you're just another mouth in the crowd. In the new world, it's not the strongest who survive, not the smartest, not the fastest, it's the quietest. Learn it, live it, or die screaming. Tip 5. Houses are coffins. When the outbreak hit, people did what people always do. They ran home, boarded up their windows with cheap plywood, stacked furniture against the doors, sat inside with the lights off, clutching kitchen knives and praying the nightmare would pass them by. And for a while, it worked. The dead moved on, chasing louder sounds, chasing easier prey. The barricades held until they didn't, until the weight of bodies crashed through the doors, until a window cracked open in the dead of night, until the safe little box they had built for themselves became a tomb. You see, houses aren't safe. They're traps, panic rooms with no exits, wooden coffins just waiting to be nailed shut by the sound of your last breath. Every hallway, is a bottleneck. Every bedroom is a dead end. Every staircase is a noose waiting to tighten around your throat. You think 4 walls and a roof will save you. You think locking the front door will hold back the tide. It won't. Wood breaks, glass shatters, steel rusts, and the dead are patient. They will press against your doors, one by one, until the hinges groan and splinter. They will gather at your windows, scratching and clawing, until the frames rot away. They will pile up against your house like the tide against the rocks, until there's nowhere left for you to run but into their open arms. A house isn't shelter, it's bait. It sits in the open, bright and obvious, a quiet little drumbeat of warmth and light in a world gone cold and black. It calls to them, and eventually, whether it's tonight or tomorrow or a week from now, they'll answer. If you're lucky, you'll hear them coming. The slow scrape of feet across the driveway, the low, hungry moans bleeding in through the cracks, the first wet slap of hands against the wood. If you're lucky, you'll have time to run. Most don't. They think the walls will hold. They think the dead will get bored and move on. The dead don't get bored. They don't move on. They wait. They rot. They pile up. They tear the house down brick by brick if they have to. And when they get inside, when you hear the crash of the barricade giving way, when the dark fills with hands and mouths and teeth, you'll realize the truth. You didn't build a safe place. You built your own grave. If you want to survive, you have to think differently. Shelter isn't about walls. It's about exits. It's about escape. Every door you close behind you better have another one already open. Every window you board up better have another you can slip through when the walls come down. Never stay anywhere longer than you have to. Never bet your life on a locked door, because no matter how strong you think the walls are, no matter how many nails you drive through the frame, the dead are stronger, and they're patient, and they are coming. Tip 6. Bullets won't save you. Shoes will. You think you need a gun. You think the answer to every groaning, blood-slicked nightmare dragging itself toward you is a bullet between the eyes. You're half right. A gun will save you. Once, maybe twice, maybe even a dozen times if you're lucky. But luck runs out. Bullets run out. Your gun jams. Your clip empties. Your arm shakes just enough that the shot goes wide. And suddenly, that little piece of metal you trusted with your life is nothing more than dead weight in your hands. But you know what doesn't run out? Shoes, good boots, thick soles, laces tight enough that you can sprint over broken glass without slipping, tread deep enough that you can climb rubble and wet concrete without falling. Because out here, you don't fight your way to safety. You run. You run when the walls crack. You run when the door gives way. You run when the moaning turns into a tidal wave of rotting flesh pouring down the street. And when you run, it won't be your aim that saves you. It'll be your feet. You twist an ankle. You trip because your soles are too thin. You stumble because your laces catch on a shattered stair. You die. It won't be dramatic. It won't be a heroic last stand. It'll be ugly, a slip, a thud, the wet weight of bodies collapsing over yours before you even manage to scream. I've seen it happen too many times. The guy with the M16 and no tread on his sneakers, slipping on wet leaves. The woman with the shotgun and flip-flops, tripping over a curb. The kid with the revolver, half-loaded, sprinting barefoot across a parking lot and snapping his ankle on a pothole he never saw coming. All the firepower in the world won't save you when you can't move fast enough to use it. And the dead, they don't trip, they don't slip, they don't sprain ankles. They just keep coming. One stagger, one stumble, one slowed step, and your meat. Good shoes are your real weapon, your first line of defense, your best chance at survival. Forget the guns. Forget the baseball bats and crowbars and hand-forged machetes. Without your legs, without your balance, without your ability to move, you're already dead. You just haven't hit the ground yet. Buy boots before bullets. Lace them tight. Break them in. Because when the time comes, when you hear the glass break, when the walls start to groan under the weight of clawing bodies, when you have 5 seconds to choose between fight or flight, you won't win with what's in your hands. You'll win with what's under your feet. Or you won't win at all. Tip 7. Fire is your friend and your funeral. Fire gives you hope. It's primal. It's survival. Deep down in the marrow where instinct still burns. A torch in the night, a campfire in the ruins, a blaze to push back the crawling dark. And for a while it feels like fire is everything. You huddle next to it, hands outstretched, feeling alive again, feeling human. But here's the truth. Fire doesn't just keep you warm. It screams your location to everything that's still moving. The dead may not think, but they recognize light. They recognize heat. They recognize the silhouette of something living flickering against the ruins of a dead world. Light a fire out here, and you aren't just surviving. You're calling them. You're lighting a beacon in the dark. A dinner bell painted in flame. You'll see it start with one. A silhouette dragging itself from the wreckage, drawn by the glow, by the scent of smoke and cooking meat. Then another and another, until you're not sitting by a fire anymore. You're sitting at the center of a ring, a tightening noose of slack jaws and empty eyes, closing in with every pop of the wood and every gust of smoke. You won't hear them at first. The fire crackles too loud. Your own breathing masks the soft shuffle of 100 dead feet. Your own heartbeat drowns out the moans just beyond the edge of the light. By the time you do hear them, by the time you smell the rot and feel the prickle of instinct along your spine, it's too late. You're surrounded, pinned in by the same fire you thought would save you. And here's the worst part. You can't even run, because running through the dark after staring into firelight for hours is like plunging into blindness. You'll stumble, you'll fall, You'll scream and you'll die, all because you thought a little warmth was worth the risk. Here's what you need to learn. Use fire when you have no other choice. Use it when freezing is the only other option. Use it only when you can move immediately after. And when you do, keep it small, keep it hidden. No bonfires, no roaring pits, no massive flames licking at the ruins. A small glow inside a deep pit, a few embers shielded by broken walls, smoke kept low, smothered under wet cloth. Anything bigger than that, and you aren't surviving. You're advertising. You're not lighting a fire for warmth. You're building a funeral pyre, and when the dead come, they won't care if you freeze. They won't care if you starve. They'll only care that they found you before the flames burned out. Tip 8, watch the sky. You'll spend your first days looking at the ground, looking for broken glass, looking for fresh bloodstains, looking for the dead shuffling out from behind burned cars and crumbling walls. And that's good. You should be careful where you step. But don't forget to look up, because sometimes the ground doesn't warn you in time. Sometimes it's the sky that whispers the truth first, if you know how to listen. Out here, birds are smarter than people. They know when death is coming. Crows, vultures, buzzards riding the wind like blackened ghosts. They circle over fresh kills. They hover above broken bodies before the dead even stop twitching. They know where the feast is before the first scream finishes echoing. And where the feast is, so are the ones who made it. If you see birds clustering low over a street, hovering over a house, spiraling tighter and tighter like a noose, you don't investigate. You run, because wherever they gather, there's blood, and wherever there's blood, the dead aren't far behind. I've seen it too many times. A lone survivor picking through a burned-out grocery store. No noise, no movement, just a few empty shelves and the quiet stink of rot. But the sky was wrong, thick with wings, dark with the swirling mass of beaks and black feathers overhead. Not one crow, not two, hundreds. They knew. They always know. And the second that survivor stepped through the broken door, the dead erupted from the back rooms like a flood. He didn't make it 5 steps. You won't either if you don't learn to watch. Because the sky doesn't lie. The ground might look empty. The streets might seem clear. The city might sit silent and still like a graveyard. But look up. If you see the black spiral tightening, if you see the wings gathered heavy in the air like a weight ready to fall, then turn around. I don't care what you think you need to scavenge. I don't care what supplies you think you can grab. I don't care who you think might still be alive inside. Walk away, because by the time you hear the first groan, the first shuffling scrape against concrete, the first crack of bone against doorframe, it's already too late. The dead will be moving, drawn by blood, by noise, by instinct, and you will be standing under them, staring up at the wings, wondering why you didn't listen sooner. The ground might betray you. The walls might trap you. But the sky will always warn you first. If you're smart enough to look. Tip 9. Hunger will kill you faster than they will. It's not the bites that get most people, not the clawing hands, not the broken teeth dragging them down into the mud. It's hunger, slow, rotting, inevitable. Hunger crawls under your skin before you even realize it's there. It fogs your mind, makes your hands shake, makes you clumsy, desperate, reckless. And in a world where one wrong step means death, you can't afford reckless. You'll tell yourself you can wait, push through, find something better. You'll tell yourself you can afford another mile without eating, another hour without stopping, another night crouched in the ruins with your stomach gnawing at itself like a trapped animal. But hunger doesn't just drain you, it lies to you. It tells you the noise doesn't matter. It tells you the abandoned house isn't dangerous. It tells you the half-eaten can of food sitting in the blood-slick hallway is worth the risk, and that's how it gets you killed. Because when your stomach's louder than your instincts, you stop listening. You rush. You shout when you should whisper. You sprint when you should creep. You grab when you should think. And the dead are patient. They don't need to eat. They don't get tired. They just wait for you to get stupid. And hunger makes you stupid. You need to understand something if you want to survive. Out here, food isn't about comfort. It's not about 3 meals a day. It's not about full stomachs and warm soup. It's about function. You eat to move. You eat to see clearly. You eat to silence the animal inside you that would have you tear open every door in the ruins for a scrap of meat. Find what you can eat without cooking. No fires, no smells wafting into the night. Cans, dry goods, anything that doesn't need flame or noise to survive the night alongside you. Keep it packed, keep it hidden. Never stop long enough to enjoy a meal. You aren't living, you're enduring. You're a ghost passing through a graveyard, and ghosts don't sit down to dinner. When you eat, you do it fast. You do it silently. You move on, because the moment you stop to feast, the moment you close your eyes and breathe deep like you're still human, that's the moment the dead find you. You think starvation is slow. You think you'll see it coming. You won't. You'll just wake up one morning too weak to climb the stairs, too slow to outrun the horde. And then you won't be waking up again. Feed the machine. Keep moving, because out here, you're not just surviving the dead. You're surviving yourself. Tip 10. When it's quiet, you should be terrified. The first thing they teach you in the old world is that silence is peace. Silence meant safety. Silence meant the danger had passed. Silence meant you could breathe again. Not anymore. Out here, when it goes quiet. When the moaning fades. When the dragging feet fall silent. When the heavy weight of death seems to lift from the ruined streets. You should be terrified, because silence doesn't mean safety. It means they're waiting. It means they're listening. It means they're already inside. The dead aren't smart, not in the way we are. But even the dumbest predator learns one thing over time. If noise scares the prey, then silence makes it bold. You hear the groaning outside the walls? That's a gift. That's a warning. That's life telling you to stay low, stay hidden, stay breathing. But when the noise stops, when the dead melt into the shadows, when the ruins sit heavy and still, and even the birds have gone quiet, that's when you should start counting your mistakes, because they don't need to chase you anymore. They just need to wait in the corners, in the basements, behind the door you didn't think to check, under the rubble you stepped over, without looking, silent, patient, rotting. And when you move, when you step forward thinking you've survived another night, they'll be there, grabbing, pulling, tearing, all because you mistook silence for mercy. The world isn't merciful anymore. The world isn't fair. It doesn't give you breathing room. It doesn't give you breaks. It gives you opportunities to be stupid. And it punishes you the second you take them. Learn this now. Noise is warning. Noise is survival. Noise means you still have time. But when the world goes quiet, when the only sound is your own breath, your own heartbeat pounding in your ears, that's when the grave opens its mouth. That's when the dead close the distance without a sound. That's when you die. Not screaming, not fighting, just swallowed by the silence you thought meant safety. You want to survive? Then fear the quiet more than you fear the howling mobs. Because the silence isn't your friend, it's a predator. And it's hungrier than anything you've ever seen. If you're still listening, still breathing, still alive out there somewhere, then you already know the truth. There's no winning this. There's no curing it. There's no safe zone waiting over the next hill. The world is gone. The cities are bones. The future is a lie. And the dead are patient. They don't tire. They don't falter. They don't hope. They just wait. Every mistake you make, every sound you drop, every second you dare to believe you're safe, they're out there closing the distance. You might survive the night. You might even survive the week. Maybe longer if you're cruel enough, cold enough, quiet enough, but it never stops. There's no rebuilding this. There's no saving anyone. There's only the long, slow fall into the dirt. The only question left is how long you can outrun it. How long you can stay breathing while the world rots under your feet. How long you can live knowing that every heartbeat is borrowed time, because you're not fighting them, you're fighting the clock. And sooner or later, maybe tonight, maybe tomorrow, maybe 10 desperate years from now, the dead will win. They always do, because they only need to catch you once. And you have to be perfect forever. Good luck. You're going to need it. If you're still breathing, go ahead and like the video. Subscribe if you dare. There are plenty more nightmares waiting for you. And whatever you do, don't forget to ring the bell. It's the only way you'll hear the warnings in time.